Have you ever wondered if the ancient stories whispered through generations, the tales etched into the pages of the Bible, are they more than just faith? What if the very ground beneath our feet holds the keys to unlocking these sacred mysteries? For centuries, the Bible has been a source of spiritual guidance, a collection of parables, laws, but buried in the sands of time, tangible evidence has been waiting, silent witnesses to epic events, legendary figures. These are not just stories anymore, they are history, unearthed piece by piece, challenging what we thought we knew. Shockwaves have rippled through archaeology, through history, through theology. Skeptics have been forced to reconsider. Believers have found their faith affirmed by cold, hard proof. Ancient scrolls hidden in desert caves, stone inscriptions bearing the names of kings, stone inscriptions bearing the names of governors. The physical world is beginning to align with the scriptural one in astonishing ways. Each artifact, each ruin, each fragment of pottery tells a story that corroborates narratives held dear for millennia. The line between myth and history is blurring. Scientific inquiry, archaeological inquiry, tools of the archaeologist, the mind of the historian. We will dig through layers of soil, and layers of skepticism, prepared to be amazed by what has been found. Let's reveal the truth behind the scriptures. Our journey begins in the desolate cliffs overlooking the Dead Sea. It was here, in 1947, that a young Bedouin shepherd searching for a lost goat stumbled upon a cave. Inside he found clay jars containing ancient scrolls, a discovery that would rewrite our understanding of history. These were the Dead Sea Scrolls, a vast collection of manuscripts hidden away for nearly 2,000 years. They are not just old documents, they are a time capsule, a direct link to the Jewish community that lived during the time of Jesus. What they contained was nothing short of revolutionary. Among the hundreds of text copies of almost every book of the Old Testament. Before this discovery, the oldest known Hebrew manuscripts dated back to the 10th century AD. The Dead Sea Scrolls were over 1,000 years older. This gave scholars an unprecedented opportunity to compare the texts passed down through centuries of scribal tradition with a much earlier version. Would the words have changed? Would the stories have been altered? The world held its breath as translation and comparison began. The result was staggering. The texts were remarkably consistent. The book of Isaiah, nearly complete in one scroll, was virtually identical to the version used in modern Bibles. The prophecies, the laws, the histories had been preserved with incredible accuracy across a millennium of copying by hand. This discovery didn't just prove the texts were old, it confirmed that the Old Testament we read today is a faithful transmission, a testament to the meticulous care of those who guarded the scriptures. Let's travel to the ancient city of Jerusalem, a city of stone and secrets. In the Gospel of John, we read a powerful story of faith and healing. Jesus encounters a man blind from birth, anoints his eyes with clay, and instructs him, "Go, wash in the pool of Siloam." The man obeys, washes in the pool, and for the first time in his life, he can see. For centuries, the exact location of this sacred pool was a mystery known only through the pages of Scripture. Many scholars questioned if it had ever truly existed, perhaps symbolic rather than physical. Then in 2004, during a routine excavation to repair a sewage pipe near the southern end of the city of David, something extraordinary was unearthed. Workers uncovered a series of wide, ancient stone steps. Archaeologists were called in and the excavation expanded. They had found a monumental stone-lined pool complete with channels to bring in fresh spring water. The size, the location, the very design matched Second Temple period descriptions. The discovery was a landmark moment, connecting a tangible place with a specific event in the New Testament. Suddenly, the story in the Gospel of John was grounded in a real, verifiable location. You could stand on the very steps where the blind man might have descended, to wash his eyes, to have his life forever changed. This wasn't just a reservoir, it was a stage for a miracle. Hidden for 2 millennia, now brought back into the light. The Pool of Siloam stands today as a powerful physical reminder of the world described in the Gospels. For many historians, King David was a figure of legend, the heroic shepherd boy who became a mighty king, the founder of a dynasty. But outside the Bible, there was no concrete, contemporary evidence that he had ever lived. His story, his kingdom, his house was considered by some to be a foundational myth, created by later writers to forge a national identity. The lack of archaeological proof was a significant gap for those seeking to validate the Old Testament's narrative. The silence of the stones was deafening. That all changed in 1993 at Tel Dan, an archaeological site in northern Israel. A team led by archaeologist Avraham Biran discovered a fragment of a large inscribed stone monument, a stele. The inscription, written in Aramaic, was a victory monument erected by an enemy king, likely Hazael of Damascus, boasting of his triumphs over his neighbors. As scholars painstakingly translated the ancient script, they found a stunning phrase. The king claimed to have defeated the king of Israel, the king of the house of David. There it was, etched in stone by an enemy of Israel. The name David, not just as a person but as the founder of a dynasty. This was the first ever extra-biblical reference to King David, a bombshell. It wasn't written by a friendly scribe trying to glorify a hero, it was written by a foe who acknowledged the Davidic dynasty as a real and powerful political entity. The Tel Dan stele transformed King David from a figure of faith and literature into verifiable history, his legacy confirmed by the very enemies he fought against. Pontius Pilate. The name is infamous, forever linked to one of the most pivotal moments in human history, the trial, the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. For centuries, his existence was attested only by the Gospels, and brief mentions by Roman historians like Tacitus. Some skeptics even argued he might be a literary invention. Once again, physical evidence was missing. Was the man who asked, "What is truth?" a truth himself? The search led to Caesarea Maritima, the Roman capital of Judea. In 1961, an Italian team excavated the city's Grand Roman Theater. They were clearing debris, not hunting for Pilate. They found a reused limestone block, a step in a later renovation. When they turned it over, it wasn't just a plain stone, it bore a partially damaged Latin inscription. After cleaning and translation, the inscription revealed its secret. It was a dedication likely honoring Emperor Tiberius, and the name carved there, Pontius Pilatus, prefect of Judea. For the first time, direct archaeological evidence from Pilate's time bore his name and title. The Pilate stone silenced the doubters. The governor from the Gospels was not a myth. He was a real man of power, his name carved in stone for all time. The Old Testament speaks frequently of a powerful people known as the Hittites. They're mentioned as contemporaries of Abraham, as soldiers in King David's army, as a major political and military force in the ancient Near East. The Bible describes their kings, their lands, and their interactions with the Israelites. Yet for a long time, modern historians knew nothing of them. Outside the biblical text, there was no record, no artifact, no ruin. By the 19th century, many scholars dismissed the Hittites as a biblical fiction, certainly not the great empire the scriptures described. Their rediscovery began not in Israel but far to the north in modern-day Turkey. In 1834, a French explorer noted strange carvings at Bogazkoy. Their significance remained unknown. Decades later, scholars began to decipher Egyptian hieroglyphs which spoke of a great land of Hatti that had fought Pharaoh Ramesses the Great to a standstill at the Battle of Kadesh. Could this be the biblical Hittites? The clues began to connect, pointing to a lost civilization. Final confirmation came in the early 20th century when German archaeologist Hugo Winkler began excavating at Bogazkoy. He unearthed the ruins of a massive fortified city, Hattusa, the capital of the Hittite Empire. He discovered a royal archive of over 10,000 clay tablets. Written in cuneiform, these tablets detailed the laws, history, and diplomacy of a vast empire that had once rivaled Egypt and Babylon. The Bible had been right all along. An entire civilization, once dismissed as myth, was restored to its rightful place in history, its existence validated by the discovery of its own lost records.